Welcome to the Sales Acceleration Show, and today we're going to talk about when you develop a product, a software product, how do you make sure it does not die a quiet death? We are at In the Pocket, and I invited Jan to discuss this. Jan, maybe before we start, explain what you do, and then let's dive deep in.
Right, so I'm Jan, I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing at In the Pocket. I was actually the first sales guy at In the Pocket.
The first one.
Yeah, I wore many hats.
Yeah,
and then today we have a team.
That's why suddenly this starts. Yeah. I know the feeling.
And today we have an amazing team small team, an agile team of about 8 people working on business development, account management, and doing our marketing.
And we were discussing yesterday about this. A lot of companies start software product and suddenly it kind of goes down and quietly down. And I said, you need to talk about this during my show.
Exactly.
So how would you deal with that? Well, I mean, you must have companies like that, so.
Yeah, so typically when people look at building software or products, they look at 2 stages, right? There's new technology and people want to experiment with that technology, and so
the hype curve goes up.
The hype curve, you know, the first phase is an adoption circle, the kind of uncanny phase of new technology. What is this? The glass hole experience, right?
Is that why we're at the with blockchain now?
That's we're really definitely there with blockchain. We're definitely there with AR. We're definitely there with AI.
Exactly.
It feels like very interesting. It feels like there's something going to happen.
Still figuring out the exact use case.
Exactly. Cool things are happening, but mostly it's cat pictures and cryptocurrencies that don't make sense.
And words, it is disruptive. But what exactly?
Exactly.
So that's phase 1.
Phase 1 is exploring, getting your hands dirty with the tech, but typically it's about finding that bigger vision behind it. It's not solving 10% of a problem, it's really thinking moonshot thinking, thinking 10x, right? And that's a cool phase to do. Every company likes it. The CEO loves to be involved with it. The CIO is already talking to his... Exactly, right. We're doing AI, we're invested in this, and we spend 20,000
We're innovative.
Exactly.
Let's do a POC. From a sales point of view, this is the nightmare, because then they want to do a POC to prove the use case, and that's... Nobody really knows it.
And they don't want to prove the use case. What they want to prove that there's a business case. But there's no business case. And that's the whole point. You don't want to prove the business case. You're really thinking about
that's a good one.
What could this technology be? What is the grand vision?
What would be the impact?
Exactly.
Can I cannibalize myself? Exactly.
Autonomous flying buses. You're thinking about these kind of things.
That's pretty interesting.
Wild thinking, right? So, everybody knows that explore phase. Typically, you have the innovation team, the R&D team, and you know the guys tucked away in the company. We're doing this, and that's good. But it's helpful. It makes you think about your own business model, and then comes the problem. You have to start building on this. Typically, that takes a little bit longer to kind of materialize. What is the business model behind this? Are we not cannibalizing on our own business model? But what you see is there's a couple of things that need to happen. There's an inflection point. Technology matures. It becomes invisible. You don't think about AI anymore. It's just there.
Classic chatbots and kind of stuff. You really see something's moving there.
If you want to kind of localize where we are today, that's what happened with mobile. Today, mobile software development, we're at a very mature level. The iPhone, the new iPhone is just a little bit bigger, a little bit shinier. It's an incremental
still the same thing, actually.
Still the same change. But you see that lots of new things are being built, lots of new business models arise on that top of that, and there's things that are happening, but not, I would say, the big changes. In that build phase, you really think about how can I solve problems for my users. Really think about the needs. And what happens at that point is when you are building the software, when you're kind of finalizing that software, or you think you're finalizing that software, there comes a point where people say, okay, that's cool, let's wrap it up. And what is the maintenance cost? And that's a fundamental problem. That's where software goes to die. Look at the iPhone, look at the App Store. There's, I would say, a cemetery of apps that just died because nobody cared about them, because nobody started building.
It's because there's too much, or because there's just experiments that...
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, people don't really actually get to product market fit. They think they have users, right? They have some retention, but there's not really a crowd coming to the app without...
It's the coming back phase that's really, really critical. I see that a lot when we launch startups, that we see that a lot of people join and it starts fading or these vanity metrics. Yeah, we have 10,000 users. No, you don't.
We have typically what we
300 use it again.
Exactly,
That's your user
It's
base.
not about downloads.
Yeah.
It's about getting that revenue right.
Right.
And whatever your KPI is, it's about tracking the right one
Yeah.
and improving that one. And second of all, it's getting to scale and asking yourself, what if we do 10x?
Yeah.
What would break in this situation? And that's a harder question to tackle.
Indeed.
So that's the build phase, and think what you see in most of the software companies or companies is that after this phase, they kind of get lost.
Yeah.
Where do we focus now?
Isn't it also because they need different people?
They need different people.
Yeah.
You need a team that has some kind of mandate to build
Yeah.
on top of that, and again, it hacks into your company
Yeah.
and looks at
From a sales point of view, that's where the sales process really kicks in, because
Yeah.
then you need to mechanize. You need to build the team. You need to move.
Exactly. And definitely in our business, that means you need to have people that are strategic, that understand the business,
Yeah.
that kind of link these business needs with user needs,
Yeah.
and then try to find, okay, where can we really scratch the itch of the
Yeah.
user? Where can we find scale, and how can we move beyond this?
So, what would be your advice if companies come to you and say, look, we have this feeling, what do we do next? Or what do we need to focus on? How can you fix what? Is it fixable? That's number one.
Yeah.
Two, how do we do it?
Well, so that's the third stage. It's called the growth stage of a product. And it means that you really look for where can we improve.
Yeah.
And typically what you need is a good overview of what is your success? What are the reasons for your success? You need to kind of tackle what is the KPI that really matters to us.
And it's probably not what you thought in the beginning.
No.
I mean, isn't the key also with your users? Because what I do a lot is when a lot of people sell 10 deals and then it kind of stops.
Yeah.
And then I said, now you go back to those 10 and you really ask them, why did you really buy it? Be true.
Exactly.
And then you get strange answers, and that's your value prop actually.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And you don't know your users as well as you think you do, right? So you have to really get out there and you have to start experimenting with these users. And that's where a growth team comes in.
Yeah.
And for a growth team, that's a bit of the Avengers, right? You have
Mix it all.
Exactly. You have data scientists, very hip and trendy right now, but these people are really crucial to. They dive in, they crunch the numbers, and they look at, okay, where's the pattern here? What can we?
So it's pattern searching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next to that, you need a very good product guy.
Yeah.
He will unbundle what you have. He will look at, okay, what can we take for this? Where would we put our focus? Typically, in the scale-up phase, you see that lots of SaaS companies today, they're over-featured.
Yeah.
They reacted to every response.
Completely agree.
They reacted to every response of their customer.
And they don't know what to prioritize in their feature set. I actually solved this. If I look from a sales point of view, I basically cut their offering and I say you need a basic product, and I start cutting it in pieces because the sales cycle takes long, especially when you go B2B and larger ones.
Yeah.
And then I start dividing it that way. But that's from the sales angle, but you need to do it from the product angle.
You need it from both angles, and that's where, so that's, the product guy comes in, the engineer comes in too, because that's typically a solution architect that understands, okay, so you want to scale, I'm going to tell you where it will fail. Looking back at the architecture that was designed, early stage companies, they have what you call spaghetti code, right? And it will fail, it will break.
So stability,
Exactly. So that's your product, your growth team, and bring in some people from business and marketing, from the client side or from your own side, and that's what you need to kind of start building again. And it's really start building again. It's unbundling.
Unbundling, you restart.
Exactly.
Switch half of the team probably.
Yeah,
I've seen it a lot.
And also give that team a real mandate to build on top of what you're already doing.
If you had to say, like, pick out one thing to focus on, what would it be? If you could say one, of course.
Yeah, one thing is definitely go back to your customer.
That's the ultimate key driver.
Ultimate
value
key
prop
driver.
Sitting with the customer.
Exactly. If the people who are coming back tell you what is wrong with the product, it's probably what's wrong with the product. Don't try to over engineer it. Just look at what wasn't working for them. Do lots of interviews, and second of all, do those experiments, which we call growth experiments, really fast.
Really, yeah. I'm all about agility.
Yeah.
You heard me yesterday. I also believe. So the key is your customers, value prop, move fast.
Exactly.
Yeah, and build a team around that.
Yeah.
With those are the right KPIs to do.
You need to have a team that has the mandate to build on top of that. You really need a team to go fast, and they have to be able to break stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe that breaking stuff is
Yeah.
key in this process, but keep on moving and iterating.
Yeah.
With that, if you like what you've heard, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to know more, subscribe to the channel. Jan,
Cheers.
thanks for
Thanks.
joining.